Go. Yeah, thank you. Sorry about that. Okay, so welcome today. I'm so excited you're here. I'm going to share my screen and make sure that my presentation is working. Um, so Stacy and I were talking about our topic for today, and I wanted to share with you something that I wish I would have learned when I was a teen. Like I could have spent years making my life easier, understanding cycles a little bit better, understanding what homeopathy and what other types of natural options we can use, essential oils, nutrition. And I'm a big believer, and I think Stacy is too, in having as many tools in our toolbox. And the more tools we have, the more likely we'll be able to reach for something natural instead of something that isn't. And there are times when we have to go to a pharmaceutical or to a doctor, but my goal is to put you in the driver's seat as much as possible so that you can take care of a lot of those issues without having to go get extensive testing and medication and all of that. So we're going to be talking about this through every stage, all the way from your first cycle to postmenopause. Um, okay. So we will be covering the teen years, some childbearing years, perimenopause, and postmenopause. So I wanted to ask if you don't mind in the chat, if you could just kind of put in there kind of where you are on this journey, and if you have anybody that might be anywhere in this journey that's part of your family. It could be a child or grandchild. Um, and if they're having any issues, because like I said, my heart really goes out to everybody, all women on all walks of this life. We're going to be talking about some homeopathic remedies and what homeopathy is, essential oils, as well as a little bit of herbs and nutrition and some advanced testing and some classes that I offer. And we're also going to be sharing kind of what Stacy does as well. So we're going to talk about making this uh, individual to your body. So your hormonal blueprint is unique to you, and one size does not fit all, as you all know. And so we're going to look at some of the root causes, and we're going to look beyond symptoms to find and address the underlying whys. Because if we're not taking care of that, then it's just going to continue to have those issues, correct? And we want to talk about gentle healing. What I love about homeopathy is it helps bring your body back into balance, and anything that's natural, right? If we're doing supplementation or whatever, I want to make sure that we're bringing our body back gently and not kind of slamming it with something and taking over what our body should naturally be doing. And I want to empower you so that you can take care of your own health journey. So these are some symptoms of hormonal imbalance. Hot flashes, mood swings, headaches, food cravings, weight gain, fatigue, insomnia, acne, really heavy cycles, especially for even our younger teens, but even later in life, right? So if you have any of these symptoms, do you mind, or anything that's not listed on here, do you mind just throwing those in the chat? And we'll take a look at them. And I'm going to have somebody else keep an eye on the chat for me. Okay, so first of all, I wanted to go through, most of us know the ebbs and flows of our cycle. But I just wanted to kind of make sure that I highlight this as we get started. So our menstrual days start days 1 through 5. And then our follicular stage is around days 6 through 14. And our ovulatory phase is around 15 to 17. And our luteal phase is around 18 to 28. The problem is most people don't always follow this schedule, right? Some days, some people, when I work with people with fertility, we've got some that have really short cycles. Other people have really long cycles. Maybe they are having the luteal phase is too short or not happening at all. So we want to make sure that we get this in balance as much as possible, and understanding it and understanding what's going on in our bodies can really help. So one of the things that I believe is foundational is eating, moving, and nourishing our bodies. And that's so important because if our bodies are not getting the nutrition it needs, it's going to start suffering. So we're also going to talk about supporting our hormonal production. Okay. So one of the things that I learned a little bit about just a few years ago was how to eat different times of your cycle, how to exercise at different times of your cycle, and like why some of these days you're like, oh my goodness, I could work out and do, an hour workout a few days ago. And now I'm trying to do 10 minutes and I'm just exhausted and my body's not cooperating. And how to just kind of love on our bodies a little bit because God has made them so beautifully, right? So our follicular stage is around day 1 through 14. And so one of the things that you can do is you can look at doing flax, chia, and pumpkin seeds. I have been learning so much about seeds, and they're a powerhouse of energy. So I eat a lot of seeds at home. I actually put it in our smoothies, and then I put it on a lot of our meals and even have some before I go to bed. A lot of times I'll do a tablespoon or two of chia before I go to bed. I put it in my little tea with my other supplements that I put in and have that before I go to bed. So I've got something that's already healing the inside of my body. Sesame and sunflower seeds can be around 15 through 28. And this doesn't have to be exact. And if this is just too much for you, just do a variety of seeds throughout your cycle. Because I don't want anything to be overwhelming, but I wanted you to see why. Um, Also, I wanted to talk a little bit about the key benefits. So some of this is going to help with your estrogen at certain times of your cycle. It's going to help improve your egg quality. It's going to help your emotions, all of that, and as well as the other food that we're going to talk about. So for your follicular and ovulatory stage, we high intensity workouts are great. Raw food, salads, you're a little bit tend to be a little bit more social. With the luteal and menstrual phase, we tend to kind of want to be not as at social, maybe just kind of hunker down a little bit. Stretching, walking is wonderful. We don't want to stop movement. That's so important. I don't ever want anyone to ever stop movement because that's going to help us get through that time. But just being careful about overdoing our bodies and causing more cortisol production is my concern. Root vegetables, rest, boundaries, a lot of like warm soups and stews and all of that can be helpful. Okay, I'm going to talk briefly about what is homeopathy. So, a lot of times people are confused with what homeopathy is. They think it's home remedies or they think it's anything natural. Oh, it could be essential oils, it could be, herbs or supplements, but honestly, homeopathy is a very specific type of natural medicine that is overseen by the FDA and it usually comes in bottles and I tell people how you know if it's really homeopathy is it will have usually 2 Latin words at least. It can't have 3. It'll have a number and a letter. So you could be Arnica montana 6C. Okay. And so what it is it's based in, like Latin scientific words. And so it looks intimidating sometimes to people, but what I teach in my class is I break it down and make it really easy. So just as an example, coffea cruda is actually made from coffee beans. And I'm just wondering if you can put in the chat what coffee does to you naturally. You're just going to have some coffee, not decaf, the regular kind. What does it do to you naturally? If anybody can put something in the chat, that would be great. So it's a stimulant, right? But we would use something that like cures like. So with coffea cruda, that's something that can actually help your brain when you're stimulated, you're thinking so fast, you can't sleep. If you've got kids that sometimes they just go, 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 and they'll kind of hype up at a certain time of the day, maybe in the evening when they should be going to sleep. This is a great one to just help calm down that mind. So homeos means similar. Most of us know that word. And then pathos is suffering. So that's where the word homeopathy came from. It's been around for 250 years. It doesn't have side effects typically. And Dr. Hahnemann out of Germany is the one who founded it. So it's been around for so long. Because it's based on naturally occurring substances in our environment, it can't be patented. So we used to have over 100 homeopathic hospitals. A lot of the doctors, when they would travel with their powders and everything, they were actually using homeopathy. And then when Rockefeller came through, he actually had a homeopathic doctor, but they wanted to find a way to make a little more money with their petroleum-based products and chemical-based products so that homeopathy was kind of pushed out of the way. So just want to let you know why it's not as popular in America, but it's still very, very popular all over the world. And there is now a surge of people since COVID that are returning back to this once they're seeing kind of what's happening with the pharmaceutical and medical companies. So it's gentle and effective and safe for all sizes, and it looks intimidating, but my goal is to break it down and make it so it's not intimidating. It can be used during pregnancy, which is wonderful because even some herbs, you've got to be really careful during pregnancy. It can be used from a brand newborn, day one, all the way to the elderly and to animals. I just did a whole presentation on using homeopathy for animals. You can use it from fish to horses to dogs, cats, and you can actually, my goal is to help you save money by learning this and also help your whole family, including your animals, so you can take care of them more effectively. So the principle is like cures like. It's based on the principle that substances that cause a symptom in healthy people can be used in extreme dilution to treat illnesses that cause the same symptom. Okay, so what is homeopathy? I apologize. This slide is a little blurry. I had a little bit of trouble with it. But this is one of my favorite slides. So I'm going to walk you through this. So homeopathy is safe and effective. And it's a way to get your body back into homeostasis or to overall health naturally. It is safe to use, like we talked about, for animals, and it can help it has none of the side effects of many medications. It's affordable. Most of these bottles, you can find them at Sprouts. I don't know if you have Sprouts where you all are, but we have Sprouts, Natural Grocers, King Soopers carry some of these. You can get them on Amazon and Boron, any of those places. So they're very inexpensive to use. And so because that, people think, oh, well, why would I use this inexpensive natural remedy when I can go get a free prescription, right? Well, the problem is with a free prescription, sometimes it comes with other issues in the long run, right? There are thousands of positive outcomes, preclinical and clinical studies. So in Europe, in South America, Central America, it is heavily used. And so this gives you a location where you can go. There's 227 pages of studies linked in PubMed, which you all know what PubMed is, right? It's a publication with all medical studies and around 20 per page. So you can do a search in there and look up homeopathy for, digestive issues or whatever. Homeopathy has been shown to be clinically effective for over 200 years and used both in acute and chronic conditions. And they used it even during the Spanish influenza, and they had much better rates of success than the other regular conventional doctors. They've used it, some of it in World War I, World War II, different Civil War, where they would use this. So it's been around for a long time. And the British monarchy has had it since Queen Victoria. And so what's interesting is that they can afford to have any kind of medicine, right? But they continue to always have their homeopathic doctor. And I was listening to a podcast where somebody was actually working on with the vets that oversee the homeopathic farm that King Charles has. So it's still very used over there. They're very strongly for it. Homeopathy is federally recognized and it's actually overseen by the FDA. So not many people know that actually most supplements are not overseen by the FDA, but homeopathy is, because you have to have it very precise. Okay, so we're going to jump into your body's natural hormones and rhythm. Did you know there's over 50 different hormones in your body? So I would love for you to put in the chat a couple different hormones that you can think of, maybe ones that not everybody knows. And if Stacy or Julie can read out some of those, let me know. Beyond your monthly cycle, these hormones fluctuate dramatically every 24 hours. How you start your morning can dictate the rest of your life. Let me see, is there any?
I see human growth hormone, cortisol, GLP-1.
Good. I love it. You guys are all in tune with it. So in the morning, if you see this little graphic, your cortisol and adrenaline peak to wake you up. And we're not going to go through all the hormones, but then ghrelin rises to signal hunger. Midday, your insulin manages the energy from your meals. and or I'm sorry, midday, and then evening, your cortisol drops and your melatonin rises to prepare you for restorative sleep. The problem is a lot of people are doing so much. We're on our screens. We're doing so much. We're under so much stress that a lot of our hormones are getting a little off kilter, right? So I would love for you to tell me in the chat if you, on a scale of 1 to 10, with one being not so good of sleep and then 10 being the best sleep, how well you sleep at night. Okay. If you could just give me a number in there, we'll look at that in just a second. So, some of the things that I've found that kind of helped me is that as a teenager, I would eat, my mom would put out, like, she didn't want to get up for breakfast. So she would leave, waffles, processed oatmeal, those fast packs, those quick pancakes, those kinds of things in the morning. And I thought I was eating a good breakfast. But what I found out is I wasn't. And so by third period, I was running out of steam, getting headaches, feeling sick, dizzy, all sorts of issues were going on with me. And I couldn't figure out what was going on. And so one of the things I learned is that having a good amount of protein within the first half hour to hour of waking is really important. I know there's a lot of people that are doing the intermittent fasting. If the intermittent fasting is working for you, that's great. But for a lot of us, we really need that fuel first thing in the morning, for our brains are looking, where's my fuel? Where's my fuel? And what I tell people, especially if you're working out in the morning, you're doing all this in the morning, if you look at this little chart right here, you want to be making sure that you have good fuel to start out. And if you need to do intermittent fasting, to close your window a little bit sooner instead of starting a little bit later is a tip. But however you want to do it is fine. So I'm finding that drinking warm water with lemon in the morning helps with enzymes and Celtic salt on waking to help your hydrate your cells. Eating protein, I accidentally put 80 to 100 grams of protein. That meant per day. Um, but what I meant is 30 grams for breakfast. And then within 30 to 60 minutes of waking to stabilize your insulin and ghrelin and give your body fuel for the day. Early light is so important. So natural sunlight in your eyes within 30 minutes of waking can help set your circadian rhythm, helps your melatonin for the day, and grounding. So if I can, even when it's cold out, I go out and try to get morning light without sunglasses, sometimes I have to have a warm hat on, but I'm trying to not have a hat that covers my eyes. Um, just so that you're starting to get that, because that's actually going to help your melatonin production. And what you do during the day and first thing in the morning will help prepare for you at night. And I do encourage you, if you can, not to do any screens before all this happens. So I try to do my devotion. I try to go take care of my animals outside, do a little jog outside, and then eat my breakfast before I jump on my phone. Sometimes that doesn't work, I'm going to say. But if I can do that, I'm like, yeah, I got it today. Could somebody look in the chat and just tell me kind of what was put in there?
Yeah, we have some 5, 8, 9, and some 10s. Yay,
Ooh,
Jessica.
I love the tens. Okay, I love it. Okay. Um, so we talked about protein and then mindset, starting with devotion or gratefulness. It really helps to kind of boost that oxytocin. And also, like I said, if you can, like I've been trying to just do my devotion in the morning on the ground. If I can get out there, my dog comes and plays with me, and that can really help start my day right. Okay. Okay, did I skip one? Okay, iodine. So one of the things I wanted to discuss is that a lot of people don't understand the importance of iodine. I had a thyroid cancer scare and I had nodules many years ago after my first child, who's now 16. And one of the things that I learned is they were saying, oh, we can just take out your thyroid. We're just going to take out your nodules. You can take medication. It's not a big deal. And I'm like, I think I want my thyroid and I think I want to have more kids. And I had already had a lot of problems getting pregnant the first time because I was an older mom. Like, I think I want it there. So I jumped into a lot of research on what to eat and how to help my body, especially, for these nodules to reduce, for me to start feeling better. And I learned a lot about iodine. So iodine can be really helpful. So your breasts really need iodine. If you're having any of the lumps or pain in your breasts, even breast cancer, it's a lot of it's tied to needing iodine. Female organs, especially, you'll see a lot of PCOS, those kind of issues. A lot of it can be improved with um, iodine. Even male health, so prostate issues, testosterone, cognitive function. It's tied to so much. So the issue is our soils are really depleted. And many of us know with our agriculture, we're just using the same fields, right? Over and over again. I do encourage you, if you can, there's some really great books on iodine. I'm not going to go too much into it, but if you can, um, read some. There's a book, Why You Need It, Why You Can't Live Without It, and The Iodine Crisis. Those are great books that will kind of explain a little bit. But you can take iodine supplements. I do encourage you to talk to an iodine, um, what do you call it? Iodine proficient doctor. Okay, let's put it that way. Not just any doctor, somebody who understands it and how it supports your body. So I'm not going to tell you how to do that. I will say that my company has a great product called Limu that is based on the seaweed and the fucoidin in the seaweed. And one of the reasons why I feel like it works so well for so many health issues, for digestive issues, for a lot of these issues we're talking about, hormones, is because it does have a lot of that iodine in it naturally. But there's other sources of it. Like I use Lugol's for years. It tastes horrible, but I did Lugol's. There's ones that you can take, iodol, that are really helpful as well. Okay, teen years. We're going to start jumping into homeopathy and some things that we can do. And I don't know, do you guys see that red line on there? I don't know where that came from. I'm not sure if you can see that or not.
We can see it, and for some reason, it's been happening on people's presentations with no explanation.
Okay, I'm glad I'm not the only one. I'm like, I don't know how that got there. Okay. Anyway, my apologies. It looks like it might be throughout the presentation. I did use a new program to create this, so maybe that's why. Okay, so one of the things is that I really have a heart for teens. I've done different presentations for them, talking to them about different issues because I struggled so much as a teen, with first cycles, with heavy flooding, with cramping, with all sorts of issues. And so guess what the doctor did? They put me on birth control, right? They put me on hormones. And then later on in life, when I started trying to conceive and have a child, I didn't understand, wow, being on the pill for so long, trying to get my cycles regulated has kind of messed up, um, you know, some of my fertility. So if there is a way to let young people know that there's other options so they don't have to go on there, I would love for them to know that. So and we're all, like I said, we all have, most of us probably have teens or teens that we know and love. So a couple of things I wanted to talk about is Pulsatilla 200 is a great remedy. And like I said, these are about $10 a bottle. If I would have known this instead of going with birth control, I would have done it. So it really helps with stabilizing cycles. It helps especially when you're weepy, clingy, craves attention, affection, and fresh air. Cycles are irregular, changing, or delayed. And this one, Pulsatilla, it can be used for different issues. It's not just for this issue. It can be used later on, but we're going to talk about another one that's more specific for women that are in childbearing years. This one's particularly good for those that are teens. The other issue that I really dealt with, and I talked to a lot of ladies about, is heavy bleeding because your cycles are still getting regulated or you're dealing with it your whole life, like me. So I became very anemic, um, and I go back to, I had dizziness issues. I was anemic from the time my cycle started. So, with all that loss of blood, they would try to give me the pills to help me with, iron pills. Those would just constipate me. So here is an option that can really help. And this can help for any time of your cycle, but or any age. So Sabina 6 with Arnica 3C can be taken together, and that can really help when it's really heavy, like blood clots, just really painful and heavy bleeding. So you can take that, like when I start my cycle, if I start that heavy on that day, I'll just take it first thing in the morning. And you can alternate Sabina and Arnica, or you can, take them together. And I'll just take them a few times and it'll like calm down my body. And I'm like, oh my gosh, if I would have known about this for years. It doesn't make your cycle stop. We don't want to do anything to stop your cycle. I've had people ask me that, is there some homeopathy I can take to stop my cycle or make my cycle happen at a different time because I've got a trip coming up? And I say we don't naturally want to suppress it because homeopathy is about bringing balance and not suppressing. Okay, the other one is I have worked with some girls that can't even go to school on their cycle days. They're in so much pain. So Mag Foss is absolutely amazing. And I put it in warm water, and I put a little tip there in warm water in a thermos and just to sip it. This is also great for any kind of cramping, leg cramping. It even helps with hiccups. And this morning I had some warm water and I was having some cramping. So I just went ahead and just stuck it in my warm lemon juice in the morning, and it's really helpful, and it just helps with that pain. My kids and my husband take it when they are doing long hikes. My son's getting ready for Philmont, so they're doing 10-mile hikes in one day at a time, and so I have them do the arnica for the cramping and the pain, and Mag Foss. And they can't put it in warm water when they're hiking. They just take it. I give them little packs to take with them, and then they take it and just alternate it. Otherwise, my husband was getting terrible pains where he'd wake up in the middle of the night having cramps. So it's really, really helpful for any of that. Another tip I'm going to give you is calc fluor, which is actually a cell salt. In a 12X can really help the skin. So that one is really great for helping with wrinkles, for helping with stretch marks, all of those kinds of things. Okay, childbearing years. We're not going to go through fertility or pregnancy because that is very, I have to work with people one-on-one for that. So I'm not going to even go there. But what I'm going to talk about is during those years, if you're having issues with your cycles, if you're feeling deeply exhausted, burnout, low libido, feeling touched out, overwhelmed, anxiety, grief, insomnia, even when the baby sleeps, but insomnia anytime, here's some remedies for you that can help. And you don't even have to have kids to feel this, right? So CPS60 is also good for postpartum depletion when your hormones are just a little bit still adjusting. But I've used sepia for, now, whenever, whatever age can really help. So especially when you're feeling indifferent and exhausted, just dragging, this is a great one. And so many women have told me, oh my gosh, this has helped. Like their husbands are so thankful. This has helped our life, our marriage life, right? Just because we want to get people back into balance. Ignatia is an amazing one. And I like this in a 200C. It's great for overwhelm and grief. And how many of us feel overwhelmed? Just on the day-to-day basis, right? Raise your hand. So the or both hands, Stacy. So the emotional roller coaster, frequent sighing, lump in the throat, anxiety, suppressed grief, and not even just suppressed grief, but any kind of grief, right? And it may even be a good thing, like a move can be, maybe, or a job change, but you're still saying goodbye. You're still a lot of changes. So I recommend doing Ignatia 200 twice a day, just while you're feeling that, and even keeping it by your bed for those times in the middle of the night when you're just struck with some grief. It might be, you lost a loved one, or you're struggling with some issues with your teens, or whatever it might be. We talked about coffee accruta 30 for a racing mind and insomnia can really help you. And I love one, it's a combination one called Sleep Calm. And several people have been able, including a loved one in my family, been able to move away from medication for sleep by taking this one. It is wonderful. And that is a combination made by boron. Okay, so for perimenopausal time, this is our, our big transition time, right? That's so exciting for all of us. So if you're experiencing, hot flashes, night sweats, and you can even start some of this in your 30s, irregular cycles or bleeding, anemia from blood loss, urinary tract infections, mood swings, anxiety, brain fog. Here are a few options for you. So one of the things I look at is doing ammonium carbonicum. And this is for general menopausal support, usually once a week or once every 10 days. It can be really helpful, especially if you're having the heaviness and hot flashes. That one's great. Now, when the hot flashes are happening, so with the ammonia, I always talk about, we often give a remedy that helps support your body. So we're building your body and your structure and your immune system or whatever needs to be built up. And then we have a target we call SOS remedy. So that SOS remedy, like let's say you're having a hot flash right then, a sulfur 200 can be great for burning heat, red face, worse at night, and sweaty. So you would just take that as needed. Another option, so for me, sulfur didn't work as well. I'm more of a lack assist type. So I was more worse on waking. So I wake in the middle of the night. I didn't like tight clothing. So the lack assist work better for me. So those are two options for you that you can have available. I would try one, see if that one works. Usually sulfur is the one they recommend to try first. And if not, you can try the lack assist. Again, we talked about the heavy bleeding one. And then I wanted to give the anemia one because I work with a lot of people that have issues with anemia. So ferrum phosphoricum, if you remember back to your chemistry, ferrum is based on iron. So that's a cell salt. And calimure, that basically you can take those together and help with anemia. So I did that for a while and it really helped with my dizziness. And then I realized, wow, if I could like make it so I don't have so much bleeding, maybe I wouldn't have as much anemia. So once I started doing the Sabina 6 and the Arnica 3, I didn't need to take the ferrum phos and the calimure because my body got to where I wasn't losing as much blood and my body could handle it and I was balanced. So that's the point is I'm not trying to give you options that you have to take for the rest of your life. I want you to take it for a little while, get your body back into balance, and then hopefully not need it unless, an acute issue comes up, like, you're having pain that day from cramping or whatever. Okay, cantharis is a great one for UTIs, especially if it's burning, urgent, and frequent urination. That's a great one. If you're having continual UTIs, I do have a protocol that's a little more involved that we recommend that you do for 3 months, and that one's a little bit harder to get a hold of, but this is a good place to start, and it also works with pets. Cats and dogs. I've had several people say that one. And just really quickly, just because I had mentioned this to somebody else today, is Heparin sulf. Heparin sulf, I did not put that on here, but for any kind of infection that people are having, that one can be really helpful. So I always have that one on hand, and I recommend carrying these with you so that when you're traveling, when you are, you're out with your kids or at work or whatever, that you have these available so you can nip it in the bud. So that can actually help with acne. For young people, it can help with a cold infection. It can help with a skin issue, whatever it might be. So that was one that I was just going to mention because that one has saved a lot of people so they didn't have to go to the doctor. Or you can take it, a lot of times it takes a day or two to get an appointment to go to the doctor, right? Okay, let me see. I'm just going to check in here. Chat really quickly. Okay. Okay. So let me see. Sorry. Okay. So we're going to be talking. Ooh, okay. We're going to be talking about cholesterol. And so cholesterol has gotten a bad rap. And so many times I've seen where people go on cholesterol medication and then they start to have other issues. So, and I see a lot of people, I just had a lady contact me this weekend. Oh my gosh, my doctor says my cholesterol is at, this level and they're wanting me to go on cholesterol medication. Is there anything else I can do? So we're not going to get into all the specifics of that. I want you to understand though why cholesterol is important. It is actually, we were told to fear it and we were told to eat low-fat diets. Hopefully none of you are doing that. But cholesterol is a foundational building block for every single sex hormone and stress hormone in your body. So it's really important to that we don't we're not scared of cholesterol. Obviously, we don't want to overdo it, but we need that for the building blocks for the rest of our body. So your body converts cholesterol, and it's called like the grandmother hormone. So if we're suppressing or not having as much cholesterol, then that's going to cause an issue. If you're highly stressed, your body will steal progesterone to make cholesterol, leaving you depleted. So I've had to like focus on, okay, I've got to reduce my stress because I need my body making the rest of the hormones, right? Um, and so I just wanted to kind of quickly cover that. If you don't eat enough healthy fats, even I've been using ghee because it's more clarified butter, doesn't have as much of the dairy. Eggs, avocado, coconut oil, olive oil. That's stuff that your body needs to create that raw material. Okay, let me see. What did I? Uh-oh. Okay, there we go. So nourish your hormones with food. So eating for balance. So as your estrogen declines during perimenopause, menopause, your body seeks estrogen elsewhere. It often stores it in fat cells, which is why stubborn weight gain around the middle is so common at that time. I always have ladies, I've always been a perfect weight until, this happened, and usually there's an event. Either something happened or there was a crisis in their life or, there's something that happened that shifted or they're just changing in their hormones. So we talked about healthy fat, clean protein. If you can get 80 to 100 grams a day, it's really going to help level out your blood sugar and your hormones. We try to focus on low glycemic food, berries. A lot of sweet potatoes and yams are super healthy. Yams are what can really help your body. There's actually I know Nikki does, is it wild yam cream that kind of helps some of those issues, Nikki? Coniferous vegetables, and then high fiber. So a lot of beans, legumes, apples, pears, seeds, nuts, and avocados. I try to aim for around 30 to 35 grams of fiber a day. And when I do presentations for teens, I have them use a piece of yarn to show how long our digestive system is. And then I tell them, okay, and then we take a mortar and pestle and I'll have them mash up like a piece of bread with some water and you'll see how pasty it gets, right? So that's where that gluten is. That's why it comes from that word with the glue, right? So what are we going to do that's going to help get that food down, right? Especially if we have a lot of glue and all that gunky bread stuff in there. Well, it's fiber. Fiber is what's going to go through and it's like our little sweeper. So then I have them use celery and mash that up and see. And I have a little hose and I have them try to get that through that little hose. So if you think about it, that's the importance of fiber. It's pulling out a lot of that food that's stuck in there, but also it's helping pull out excess estrogen, other hormones, toxins. So it's really, really important. And the other thing I've learned is if you're not getting enough fiber later on in life, it can actually lead to urinary issues. And I've been working with ladies that have urinary issues that are older. And let me tell you, you don't want to go there. It's just better to eat our fiber. So some things that we minimize is pork because it has a lot of toxins and added hormones, high carbs and sugars because of insulin spikes and driving fat storage, and then conventional dairy because it can be inflammatory and disrupt hormones. Let me see. Yep, I think I said that. Insulin resistant and hormone balancing. When your cells stop listening, insulin is a master hormone that tells your cells to absorb glucose for energy. When you eat too many carbs or are chronically stressed, your cells become deaf to insulin and it gets worse and worse as we age, causing a lot more sleep issues, cardiovascular issues, metabolic issues, stubborn weight, hot flashes, all of that. So that's what we're trying to avoid. Okay, I did do a slide on essential oils because I learned with Nikki and a doctor that she had here a little bit about essential oils for hormone balancing. And Stacy, feel free to jump in and add more information. But I do love your progestin plus. And putting that behind your ears and on your wrists. And it's actually based on wild yam, and which is the natural source of progesterone. and then clary sage on the ankles. So I actually do that because I feel like it helps balance my body. How many other people are doing that? Since I know we've got a lot of essential oil people here, put a one in the chat if you're using that. And okay, I see at least one person. Yay. Okay. Let me see. Is there anything else you want to add, Stacy, there?
I could just add that you don't really have to know what the essential oil is going to do. You just have to use it. So whether you are diffusing them, applying them to your skin for absorption, or with Young Living essential oils, you can ingest them. But one thing I started doing with a lot of the hormone supporting essential oils is to apply them to the thin areas of your skin. Like Amy mentioned, the wrist, also your breast and your belly button are great places.
Okay, great breasts. I didn't think of that. Okay, awesome. Oh, I love your cell salts there, Jessica. Okay. Slenderiiz drops. So I am going to briefly touch on that because that is one of the things that I do offer is that and I know it's similar to a product that you all have too. But when diet and exercise isn't enough, and hormones and insulin are blocking fat loss, this system has been wonderful. So, and oh, I don't know where my other pictures are. I had other pictures in there. But basically, one of the things is that I used a lot of the homeopathy for myself when I was dealing with a lot of the perimenopausal issues. But my friend Julie, who's on the call, started taking these and she encouraged me to try them after I watched her transformation. She was dealing with type 2 diabetes, right, Julie? Epstein-Barr virus, high cholesterol. What else?
Oh, the perimenopause issues, inflammation, diabetes, insomnia. Like I had the whole gamut of issues. I had them all.
So, and tell us, so I got to see her on this journey because otherwise I wouldn't have believed it.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
tell me how many months and how long it took for you to get balanced because I didn't see you for a few months over the summer. We were in a homeschool co-op together. So I used to see her every week. And then
Mhm.
I didn't see her for a few weeks. And I'm like, what happened, Julie?
So you were helping me with all of those issues that I had, and it was just so many things. There were so many things, and when I found this, it helped all just in some way, right? But really, after about 4 months is when I noticed significant improvement in all of those aspects, including my Epstein-Barr symptoms, which had like low-grade fever and extreme fatigue, but my brain fog, all of that just lifted. Not saying it was totally gone and it was cured, but the symptoms were significantly improved. And then, of course, I lost a ton of weight as well.
Okay, as you guys can see. And then I did a before and after for me too. So that was me 2.5 years ago. And I was hiking up in Glen Erie, which it's not that difficult of a hike. If you can see Glen Erie's down there. But I was exhausted and like doing everything I could to help lose weight. And then this was me this summer when I went to hiked up to Hanging Lake with a lot more energy than I had before. So I found what I love about the Slenderiiz drops is the first one's all homeopathic. So some of them that I talked about are in there. And then the second one is nutritional and herbal. And so that accelerates your body where the second bottle helps accelerate your body. It's your happy bottle. The first bottle is more your discipline in the bottle that helps you with your carb, um, your cravings and all of that. So, um, okay. And then next steps to vibrant health. So I do run a free school community. I'm a homeopathic educator. So it's my passion to do that. And I'll show you that at the end. So you can learn more about homeopathy. I put a lot of nutrition on there. And like I said, it is completely free. I do have my main class in there. There is a charge for that. I also do one-on-one consulting if you've got issues. And like I said, I love working with with women with all different issues, from young kids with digestive issues to older women with issues to fertility to, cycle issues, whatever it might be. I also do sell some mini kits so that way you have something with you. I recommend carrying a homeopathic kit if at all possible. There's also some on Amazon. Helios and Boron have some great ones as well. They have pet ones, and you can use these interchangeably. I can give, something for myself and my dog too, because, she got injured or shocked or whatever at the same time, which is what's so beautiful, is being prepared. And then Nikki and I offer hair tissue analysis and testing. And that's where we actually take your hair and nail analysis. We send it off to a lab in Arkansas, and it comes back with a whole report of what issues you might be dealing with. If it's, and Nikki, do you want to come out and share for a second about that?
I'd love to join you, Amy. Yeah, so as Amy is stating, what she and I are able to do is take those tissue samples, and we're able to, with the lab, using some quantum science, determine what the disruptors are in the body, which organs and systems are being affected, and then what the deficiencies might be in the body. Perhaps you're not getting enough molybdenum, or maybe your stomach acid is low, or phosphorus is low, and that's keeping the body from being able to fire on all cylinders and heal itself. And then fourth, we have a bank of supplements from all over the world, because I studied with a doctor in the Netherlands. We use some of his protocol, some supplements from a doctor from Korea, and so on. And we're able to find out what your body tissue has an affinity for to be able to heal itself. And so see Amy if you're interested in that. And Amy, I'll love to interject any more information if you'd like.
Okay, that's perfect. Thank you. And it does usually come back with 3 to 5 homeopathic remedies based on what your DNA needs. And it's pretty fascinating. So anyway, thank you so much for having me. This is my contact information and Miss Stacy's contact information. So feel free to send me a message. If you want a copy of the slides or this presentation, I'm going to be putting it on my YouTube, but I can send it to you if you send me a message. You have my cell phone there or my email. So Stacy, was there anything you wanted to say before I stop the recording, and then we can open it up for questions?
No, just thank you. All the information was great. I knew it would be. I feel like we could take each one of those slides and dive into for another hour.
Yes, we do. And I do that in my class. I did forget to mention, I do a full class with 9 modules, and I have a book as well that has links. It's on Amazon Kindle, so that you can learn all of this. And I want to teach you how to do it and to have these resources available when you need it. So thank you. I'm going to stop this real quick.